Hey friends, how are you today? Thank you for jumping on and joining me today. As you are popping on, say hi. Tell me where you're watching from, and hopefully this ministry is serving you well. I wanted to talk to you this morning about suffering, so I'm going to give it a sec, see who else might jump in here for me today. We're crossing over into the noon hour, so I can't say good morning. However, wherever you're watching from, it could be morning, so good morning. All right, so I wanted to talk to you about suffering and where this comes from. So I have fibromyalgia. For those of you that don't know that, basic terms, it's a malfunction of your central nervous system that causes nerve response and pain receptors to misfire. And, you know, on commercials, it'll just show things about physical pain, but there's so much more involved. It involves being able to focus, your mind being able to really grasp thoughts, to get out the right words, recalling things that would make sense to you on normal days, but then other days it just doesn't. Think your vision can become blurred, like like you need glasses, but it's not because you need glasses. There's something else going on. Let's see, weakness in your body. It can do things, the irritable bowel stuff, anything that a nerve affects, which is your entire body, can be affected by fibromyalgia. Anyway, the pain is the part that brought me to this devotion today, because these last several days my body has been flared up, and normally I can manage because for good or for bad, I have a high pain tolerance, which for some people it could really put them out. It could have them in the bed for days. And at the beginning of this journey, it did do that to me, where I really struggled to get through the day and to be able to do anything. So to God be the glory for healing, right? But so this morning I was just thinking, gosh, I'm in so much pain. It's really hard. I struggled last night to sleep. And God led me to this special Bible that I have, and it's called Beyond Suffering Bible, where struggles seem endless, God's hope is infinite. And it is from Johnny Erickson Tada. And for those of you that don't know her, she was paralyzed in a diving accident, quadriplegic from 17 years on, and she is now about 70. So she helped to put together this awesome Bible, and it was actually given to me as a gift one year at our Premier Designs Jewelry Rally, because I happened to wheel myself over to the table just to get some more of her information. And the reason I had to wheel myself that year is because my lower back and legs weren't working, so I couldn't keep up, and so I needed a wheelchair that year. And it was such a blessing to me, because out of the heart of this ministry, they gave me this because I appeared to be afflicted, and which I was, and I am dealing with suffering now. But I was drawn to this morning because it goes through so much detail about how to walk through life as we suffer. And it doesn't have to be just something physical. It could be an actual disability that we lack the ability to move, or the ability to do certain things, or just the list goes on and on and on with disabilities. So whether it's suffering in pain because you have an illness, or suffering a disability where you don't have all of your faculties, whether you lost them a long time ago, or you lost them in an accident, or you were never born with them to begin with. There are all kinds of things that we go through, but we can also suffer from the way people make us feel, and the pain and suffering emotionally. And the word gives us so much about that. And as I was reading this morning, she has written a letter at the beginning of her at the beginning of this Bible. And it's wonderful. And I'm not going to read that to you, but she goes into Psalm 119, verse 71. And so at the end of her letter, this is what she says. And I apologize, I'm struggling to get there with these papers. It says, I hope you can tell about the Beyond Suffering Bible that I am beyond thrilled about the Beyond Suffering Bible. When it comes to great commentary and resources on suffering, there's nothing else like it. Most of all, the Beyond Suffering Bible exalts God as preeminent and supreme over every disease and disability. It showcases the righteousness and mercy of God on behalf of those who struggle under the weight of illness, poverty, and injustice. It will help you go beyond suffering so you too can say, and this is from 119, it's verse 71, my suffering was good for me, for it taught me to pay attention to your decrees. So what is that? You know, the Psalm 119 is written by David, and King David went through a lot. And he wrote the majority of the Psalms, and they were cries and songs and praises to God about what he was walking through. And during this time, he was dealing with all kinds of attacks coming at him. And this was just one of the things that he said. But he talked about that it being a blessing that he had suffered because it made him focus and align his life with the decrees of God, because he knew that God was with him. And in modern day, so to speak, you know, we get out of the Old Testament, we go into the New Testament, and we see Paul and the afflictions that Paul faced. And Paul writes, he says, 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. You know, we all face stuff. Paul was facing things. He had an experience where God gave him revelation, and this comes from the fact that instead of him boasting about the revelations that God had given him and being prideful, that Satan put a thorn in his side so that he was not allowed to boast of that he would be reminded of God's sovereignty rather than his own prideful nature. And that when he begged God to take it away, God didn't take it away. He left him with that thorn. We don't know what the thorn was, but I would imagine it was something painful. But it was a reminder to him that God's grace is sufficient, and that each time that we're in a struggle, that we just need to turn to God, because God says, in weakness, I am made strong. So in our weaknesses, God strengthens us. Philippians 4:13, right? Whoa, where did that go all of a sudden? See what I'm talking about? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. God strengthens us through Jesus. And so I want to encourage you today, whatever it is, whether it's an illness or an ailment or a disability or poverty or injustice, or just walking through a time in your life where you feel discouraged, to turn to God and allow him to give you strength, and know that you may not be healed from it. For whatever it is, God has a purpose and a plan for your life, and to just trust him and be encouraged by him and allow his love and his strength to carry you through. I hope that blesses y'all today, and I look forward to hearing from you. So let me know how I can serve you. Let me know how God is changing your life. God bless.